Hi guys, welcome back to Casa Cielo. This is our project house. If you've been following along, we've had this house for about 18 months and it's been a very slow renovation, but a real life renovation. One where we have kids and jobs in between and budgets, but we've made some really good progress recently and I'm excited to share with you one of my favorite spots, which is the patio just off the back of the house. So the big wow factor for me of this patio is the floor. The floor, I pretty much knew from the beginning I wanted to do this, but a couple reasons why I chose this process over maybe tile or stenciling or painting. So originally right here was cool decking. We still have the cool decking all along the pool. It's a very peachy kind of beige color, which down in the future we will remedy that around the pool. But off this area, I knew it was kind of a small upgrade we could do. I follow a lot of Australian designers and influencers, and over there, if you've looked at anything, everything's crazy pave. It started with a couple accounts, I'll post them here, that I had been following along. And I thought the reason why I thought it would be perfect for this particular patio is because this patio had a lot of gapping. So there was a huge gap right over here to the rest of the patio, which means that I had so much wiggle room to work with. So I didn't have to worry about this being higher than that. It was already really, really dipped. Right here, it's like so seamless now, you can't even see it. But this used to dip down and the other half was raised up. So I knew by having this crazy pave, broken tile layout, it would really help mask all those imperfections of the existing like cool decking that they had done. The second reason why I chose this is I just feel like it's really neutral, but so much texture. It's so pretty and neutral, but it doesn't feel boring. I did find some tutorials on this. Most of them were from Australia. So what that kind of meant was a lot of the materials they used, I couldn't source here in Southern California. Talking with tile people, they kind of didn't really know how to answer my questions. And talking with construction people, they didn't really know how to answer. It was just something that a lot of people hadn't been requesting here yet. I did choose a porcelain tile. This was a fairly easy project, and the outcome, this has been months, and it looks amazing still. To start, I picked out tiles. They are 12 by 24. I just went to Lowe's and picked them out. I really wanted to find something that wasn't too shiny, so some of these have some actual texture to them, like this one. You actually, when you walk over it, it has some really nice texture. And these are just those 12 by 24 porcelain. This one was one of my favorites. It had a lot of texture to it. The reason I didn't go with a natural stone was because of the height. Most natural stones are a lot thicker, especially like terrazzo and marble, and you'll see some really beautiful floors with that. But I needed to be a little bit on the thinner side. Also, the second reason why, budget. Porcelain is so cheap. I ended up buying, I think it's 450 square feet that this patio is. I bought 450 square feet fully knowing the way I was gonna break it up, I wouldn't use that. I would say in total, it was probably around $200 to $300 worth of tile, maybe less. It was a really budget friendly for how large the space is. And then from there, I went through and I broke them up. And I found breaking them up and then saving them in piles with the sizes I wanted was the best process. And I did most of that just in like a half a day. So once everything was kind of broken up and I had an idea of the pattern, it's just your exterior mortar that I used to stick it down to the patio. This part was fun. It was almost like putting together a puzzle, and if you're kind of a perfectionist or you like the way things kind of end up looking, you can have a lot of fun with it. So I knew there were certain areas that I wanted to kind of be more focal. Around the edges, I got really excited to make it match up. This was where a lot of that dip was, and I think it looks so, you can't even tell there was a huge gap here. Like, it's so seamless. So I had a lot of fun doing that, and it really kind of flowed really nicely. And then the next day, we were ready for grout. Here's what I learned about grout. When you have really thick grout lines, you need sanded grout. So you want some really good, strong grout to hold this all together. It also is what really ties everything together. So some of my things I wanted in a grout was I wanted it to be durable. I wanted it to be textured so that it wouldn't be slippery here for the kids. And I wanted it to be light. This ended up being kind of a couple weeks of figuring out what to use, and I kind of kept ending up with no one really knowing what would be the best. One person said to use like an epoxy grout. But finally, it was my contractor who suggested when they do flagstone, they use a concrete grout, and he said, go with that. It's gonna be your best bet. A tile guy has not worked with concrete grout before, and so he was thinking of regular grout and just thought, oh, it will just wash off. So I had asked him, please be mindful of the windows and the turf, and he said, yeah. Well, concrete grout does not spray off like regular grout. So if you decide to tackle this project on your own, just know that the concrete grout is gonna be much more sticky to everything and really protect your area. The second thing is concrete grout won't come off your porcelain tile the way that it will come off porcelain tile with your other grout. So normally you would grout your tile and you could leave this haze on here and you could just wipe your grout off. But here's what you do, and this is what they do with flagstone, is you use a product called muriatic acid. And muriatic acid will dissolve all that concrete grout and that haze off of here. You do need to be mindful of plants and things that can kind of, it's acid, so it can eat stuff away. We were lucky we had turf on this side and we have just mulch on the other side and we had no plants in. So for us, that was an easy solution. And the muriatic acid, we did about, we diluted it quite a bit and we did probably 2 passes of that and then washed it all away. But that really helped take the haze off, take anything left over of that concrete grout, and it's like my favorite thing. So some things that I wanted to know when I was looking at this process are those edges sharp? So I was really curious after you break up these, some of these are like a complete point right here. And I wanted to know if they were sharp. I'm happy to answer they are not. There's a couple reasons why. The grout covers most of them. The second reason is we used a little stone on some of the really, really sharp ones. There's a little tile stone you can just rub off some of these edges with. But when you run your hand over it, it's not sharp at all. And the kids walk on here barefoot all the time. And I'm happy to report that there has been no injuries on here. The second thing is it slippery? Because porcelain is really, really slippery. And if it's outdoors, I was really worried about it. The combination of a textured one, like this one's textured and this one's textured, these ones are slippery, but because the grout is so textured, it's really textured, it's not slippery. If you're on just one tile, there is, that possibility. And another thing I was kind of curious about is maintenance, like keeping it clean. The grout is not true white, so I haven't found, this even looks darker than it was when I put it in, doesn't even bother me. So that has been really easy, and I just mop it. So what we'll do is we'll use the outdoor blower and get off all the debris, and then I'll just run a little dry mop or just a really light, wet mop over it, because I did seal the grout. It was quite a few layers of what we did, but I did mop that on at the very end just to make sure that concrete is so porous that it didn't absorb a lot of the stains and things that might happen outside. And along with the patio, we have a couple other projects we just wrapped up. So stay tuned for more over here at Casa Cielo. Whatever.
Whatever.